Cherry Audio's Chroma is a painstakingly accurate recreation of the original Rhodes Chroma from 1982. It began life in the hands of Alan Robert Perlman's company, ARP. Unfortunately, they had to file for bankruptcy, leaving the designs dormant, waiting to be picked up by a company such as the Rhodes Corporation before finally being put into production in 1982. This fantastic recreation from Cherry Audio has been in development for over 18 months, and apparently is one of the most requested synthesizers for software recreation. The original Chroma was an analog synthesizer, but it was placed under microprocessor control. This is one of the reasons for its slightly different appearance from many of the fader-laden synthesizers from the same period. Cherry's software recreation maintains the subtractive architecture. It offers 2 oscillators per voice and can be increased to a total voice count of 16 voices. As is so often the way with software synthesizers, the more voices you have in play, the greater the pull on your computer's CPU. You can therefore influence the number of voices in play by going to the Voices button, clicking, and you'll see a drop-down menu where you can select any number from 2 to 16. We're going to play a few of the 700 presets which are included with the Chroma, and you can locate these by going to the preset menu which is at the top left-hand side. When you click on it, you will see that it reveals all of the presets that you have available, and are also categorized, which makes it nice and easy to find what you're looking for. All the effects that you'll be hearing are generated by the Chroma plugin itself, and our EQ setting is entirely flat. We're going to explore a couple of the interesting features that are available, and we'll do this by initializing a patch, which we can do by going to the top left-hand side of the plugin window and clicking on the New button. This will activate a nice new preset and allow us to get creating. On the front panel, you can see that there's no descriptions that read oscillator. That's because the oscillators themselves are hidden within the wave shape section. If we move to the wave shape itself, we have a drop-down menu which provides us with a sawtooth, a pulse, and a pink and white noise option. One of the really cool features of the wave shape section is that you can take a sawtooth wave and vary the pulse width modulation, just like you can with a square wave or a pulse. All we've done here is selected a sawtooth from the drop-down menu, and when we play, we can vary the width. We can also place that under some form of control, and if we move to the Modulation Select button, we can see the various options that we have available to us. One interesting option is to try using Aftertouch. This means that when you play a note, if you then have an Aftertouch equipped keyboard and press the keyboard further down, it should invoke a response. If we want to keep the modulation sources from within the synthesizer, one of the cool things we can do is select something a little more obvious, like for example Envelope 1A. The settings for Envelope 1A are displayed here, and this will immediately modulate the wave shape much as we did with Aftertouch. And by varying parameters such as the attack phase and the decay phase, we can change the rate of pulse width modulation. We can also move back to the wave shape section and change the modulation depth. The greater the number, the more the modulation amount. One of our favourite features that's included with the Chroma is the additional expansion, which you could buy as an add-on for the original synthesizer. If we go to the Layer Mode section and select Double, you can see that we effectively get 2 Chromas. One is the original, and the second one is exactly the same but in expander form. You can decide exactly how you want to use the expander level by going to the routing matrix, which is at the top. If you click in this section, it gives you various options for parallel filters, dual layers, series filters, and even oscillator sync and ring modulation. We're going to keep it simple and go with dual layers, which means we'll hear 2 layers at the same time. This can create a small problem when editing, because one of the things you're not entirely sure about is whether you're listening to the original Chroma layer or the expansion layer. However, Cherry Audio have included a really cool little editing function which allows us to solo the layer that we're working on. The sound that we've created on the expansion layer starts with a sawtooth wave, but it's going through a high-pass filter. We're also using envelope 1C to apply some modulation to the filter, so when we play a note we hear a high-pass filter sweep. Albeit quite a slow one. You might also be able to hear that there's quite a generous reverb on the back end of that sound. That's provided within the plugin from the effects layer. All we have switched on at the current time is the reverb, which is described as a galactic reverb. We have the mix set fairly low, but it's a relatively generous decay, giving us that very long reverb tail. So once you're happy with your sound and your settings, you can then come out of solo layer mode and hear the two sounds together. As is so often the case with Cherry Audio products, their attention to detail is second to none. What they've created is an incredibly versatile and exceptional sounding synthesizer, which includes the ability to create sync tones, FM, and ring modulation capabilities too. It's currently priced at $69, available from Cherry Audio's website. However, they often tend to have sales on, so it's worth going to the website to see if it's cheaper. It's available for both Macintosh and PC platforms, in all the usual plugin formats: Audio Unit, VST3, AAX, and a rather wonderful standalone application too.